Welcome back to Project DC. This is a video series where I'm seeing if I can make a downcountry bike, in this case a transition spur, go as fast as a cross-country bike, which is a Niner RKT9. Now, this video series is going to apply to any of you out there who are trying to decide between a downcountry and cross-country bike. It doesn't really matter the brand. There's a lot of good ones out there. So I made a kickoff video that I'll link in the description below. I'm not really going to rehash what I said in that video. This video is the time trial results. Now, one thing that I did not mention in the first video is the exact wheel set that I'm using. So I'm going to take half a minute to show you the wheels, and then I'll pick it back up and we'll talk about the time trial results. So the wheels are a Stans Podium carbon wheels, probably my favorite cross-country wheels that I've ever used. They're compliant over bumps and they're super light and they're stiff laterally, so they're great for handling, great for cornering. For tires, I'm running a Maxxis Recon in the front, a 2.4, which is wider than most people would think for a cross-country tire, but I love the extra grip. Our trails have a lot of corners. Some of them are loose, and so I like having that wider tire up front, and it gives me some really good cornering traction. And these tires also have really good cornering knobs on them as well. The rear tire is a Maxxis Icon. It is a 2.2, so more traditional cross-country width, but this is a great tire combination. My favorite combination for riding the trails locally. Now I'm going to share with you the results of the time trial, and I did 5 time trials on the Niner RKT9 starting a few months ago. Then I switched over to the transition spur. I made the wheel swap, and then I did 5 time trials on the transition spur after taking a few weeks to get used to it. Now, I actually did something like this a few years ago when I had another transition spur. The difference here is I'm taking a much longer time to do the time trials. I'm not just switching back and forth every week. I'm getting really used to a bike and then getting used to the next bike and doing the time trials. Now, I actually hesitated to do this video because I think it's only fair before I make my conclusion that I go back and do more time trials on the cross-country bike, and I'll explain what I mean coming up here in a minute. Now, in this test, if the transition spur downcountry bike is as fast as the cross-country bike, that's a win. If it's faster, all the better, but if it's just as fast, I've got a more versatile bike. I can have a bike with trail wheels for trail riding, and then put on the cross-country wheels for faster days, racing, endurance events, that kind of thing. So if they're equal, that's a win. If the spur's faster, that's a bigger win. So let's talk about the results. Now I'm going to share with you the results on the Niner first, and here they are. So the first time trial that I did was on November 29th, 2022, and I had a 37.57, and I'm going to use the stopwatch. I'm not really going to use the Strava times because those can vary. Sometimes the GPS just doesn't get it quite right. The stopwatch is exact. On most of these, I recorded my average heart rate, my normalized power, and also my average power. A couple of the time trials I did not have the power meter on the bike, but I always had the heart rate monitor. So 37.57 was my first one. I dropped the time a week or so later. Then 37.24, 37.22 was my best time on the Niner RKT9, and then I had another time trial a couple weeks later of 37.46. And so average heart rates were right around 163. I don't know what happened on January 12th, but my heart rate was lower, and my power, I did not have a power meter on the bike that day, so I probably just wasn't pushing quite as hard on that day. So that is the Niner. So like I said, 5 time trials. Now I'm going to share how I did on the transition spur. Now, before I talk about the transition spur times, I'm going to mention one thing here, and that is I did the Florida State Championship cyclocross race 2 weeks before I started my time trials on the transition spur. And what I've noticed back when I used to do a lot of cyclocross racing, the first couple races went okay, but then my fitness really kicked in and I did much better mid-season to the end of the season. My body reacts really well to race efforts as far as improving the fitness. So racing into shape works really well for me. I do my training, that lays the foundation, and then when I race, that just boosts my fitness big time. So like I said, 2 weeks before, and if you're familiar with training, it's what you do a couple weeks before that really makes a difference a couple weeks later. If you train hard 3 days before a race, it's not going to do anything but make you tired. So it's that 2 week out, that's where the window really makes a big difference. So I think there may have been some kind of fitness gain that I had, maybe not, I don't know, but you're going to see that the time trial results on the Spur kind of blew me away. So this is phase 1. Phase 2 is when I go back out starting next week on the RKT9 because I just got my shock back. So I got the shock rebuilt from Fox, $230 something later. Good grief. Rebuilt, it's like brand new. It was leaking air a little bit. So I'm going to put that back on the bike today. And then next week, we're going to go back out on the cross-country bike and see how my fitness is. All right, let's just get into it. This is where it gets interesting. Okay, here we go. 2 weeks after I did the time trial on the RKT9, I did a time trial on January 24th on the Spur, 37 minutes. My fastest time on this course by 22 seconds. Almost a full minute faster than my slowest time on the RKT9. Now, what's a bit interesting is the heart rate is higher. And so, am I pushing harder? Is my fitness better? I don't know. I didn't have the power meter on the first one, but the second one, so I went back out 2 days later, 37:20. So 20 seconds slower, but still 2 seconds faster than my fastest time on the RKT9. Now you can see that the heart rate monitor failed that day, by the way, but the normalized power was a bit higher than my normalized power on this date. On December 30th on the RKT9, my normalized power was quite a bit lower and my time was faster. So maybe I'm working less hard on the cross-country bike. Makes sense, right? So that was on January 26th. I went back out the next week. I had a 37:14. Again, super fast. Average heart rate 169, a bit higher than I had on the cross-country bike. Power was higher. Average power was 202 that day. My highest average power on the cross-country bike was 192, 193 actually. So, again, am I working harder on the downcountry bike, or is my fitness just getting better and I'm able to put out more power? Now, every single time trial, every lap, I pushed it as hard as I could go. Now, this blew me away. On February 7th, I had a 36:55. Normalized power was a little bit lower. Average power is a little bit lower than the one the week before on the downcountry bike. Average heart rate 164, in line with an average heart rate that I had on December the 14th on the cross-country bike. And about the same max heart rate. So it's interesting. And then the last one, February 9th, I had a 37:04, so again, super fast. And what's interesting on this one is I didn't feel good. I was tired. In fact, let me go back to this January 24th one when I got 37 minutes. I did not get a good night's sleep the night before. I didn't feel good that day. I almost stopped the time trial because I was like, this is not going to be accurate, but let me just finish it anyway. And I had just this mind-blowing time of 37 minutes on the downcountry bike. Again, I had the cross-country race wheels on it, but it's really interesting. So, and again, on this one on February 9th, it was another day I think I slept okay. I was just tired. I was just tired. It was a long work week, hard work week, and I was tired. So yeah, this is kind of mind-blowing to me, actually. So those are the results of phase 1 of this project. Like I said, it's only fair that now I get back out for a couple weeks on the cross-country bike and see if I get the same results as I had the other series that I did on the cross-country bike. If I do, then that means the downcountry bike is faster. Now, let me wrap up this video by something that I said somewhere in the first video that I made kicking off this project, and that is the advantages of a cross-country bike. There's 3 advantages to make them go faster. One is the weight, the other is the pedaling platform, And the third is the handling. So cornering, accelerating, sprinting, that kind of thing. And the weight and the pedaling platform also play into that as well, especially like the sprinting out of a corner. So if the downcountry bike is faster, it's because I feel like I can hit the corners with more confidence. The slacker geometry, and this is very important too, I feel like I can sit in the saddle over rougher terrain and pedal. My style of cross-country riding, especially for where I live, is I stay in the saddle like 98% of the time. And I've noticed that by using the Garmin Rally pedals. It'll tell you standing versus seating. My seating pedaling is most of my ride. So because that bike has 120 in the back versus 90 on the cross-country bike, I can stay in the saddle, pedal hard over bumps, and put more power to the pedals over more consistent. I think that's what's making the difference too. So again, if the downcountry bike is faster, it's those two things. It's more confidence in the corners and also being able to stay in the saddle over rougher terrain and pedal hard. Now, I'm going to do another phase in a few months. And some of you predicted this, but I'm pretty sure I'm going to do this. So I'm going to get the new Niner RKT9. I'm going to be selling my current RKT9 probably in the next 3 or 4 weeks. And then I'm going to get the new one with the modern geometry, slacker geometry, still light, still fast, still super good pedaling platform. Pretty sure I'm going to do that because I think it's only fair. I think a lot of people are going to be basing a decision, a bike buying decision, based on the series. At least that's what I've gotten from some of my subscribers. So I want to make sure I do my due diligence and compare not just the Niner RKT9 that I have now with the steeper head angle, but one with a more modern slacker geometry. And that one's going to have 100 millimeters of travel front and rear, pure cross-country race bike. It's going to be light, it's going to be fast, it's going to be fun. So this Project DC is going to last for a while, and I want to make sure I give you all good information. And again, I think it's right that I do that. So that's going to wrap it up for this video. Fun project. Leave the comments below what you think. Have you done a comparison like this? Let me know. If you like this video, if you like this series, give it a thumbs up for me. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, click the little logo right below and you can subscribe. That'll do it. I'll catch you in the next video. Thanks for watching.